Hi everyone, welcome to Writer's Corner. I'm Radrani and I'm from Tilsley Creative Writers. And once again, I'll be reading chapters from this book, Lessons from the Ramayana by Sri Charles Rachnamurthy. And in today's video, I'll be reading Lesson 2. And I hope you like it. So, here we go. Lesson 2. Do not do evil if you want to escape the consequences of evil. Men wish to be saved from the mischiefs of their vices, but not from their vices. By Emerson. Nowadays, there is great demand for evil genius which can make foul appear fair. The vicious wear the mask of virtue and perpetuate wanton mischief to attain selfish gain. They fondly hope that the camouflage never collapses and the truth forever remains buried, but it is not so. Truth may be eclipsed, but it can never be extinguished. With the passage of years, truth comes to light, and the authors of mischief are driven to deserve doom. Hence all trials to escape consequences of vice prove to be futile. Yet vice gropes in vain hope that it can escape exposure and punishment by resort to hypocrisy on specious reasoning. We notice in the world at present constant endeavour on the part of the so-called leaders and politicians to cover up crimes and scams by all possible show of piety, bland words and subtle reasonings. The lesson one has to learn is that none can escape the consequences of evil, having once perpetrated it. Why is a man prone to commit crime? A man has in him 6 wonderful enemies. They are lust, anger, greed, infatuation, pride and envy. Prompted by these dreadful enemies, man commits sin without caring for consequences. These 6 forces run riot in the human mind and rule out peace. Peace comes to the mind only when the evil in the heart is subdued. Hiranyakashipu, while speaking to his lovely boy Prahalada, boasts of his valour, saying that he has conquered all the worlds. Then the little boy points out to him that though he is the conqueror of the worlds, he continues to be a victim to his internal enemies, lust, anger, and so on. The real conquest is only the conquest over the 6 enemies inside. To him who has conquered his 6 internal enemies, nothing remains to conquer. So glory lies in self-conquest, but not in making wars and killing innocent people. He thus opens his father's eyes to the need for self-conquest to enjoy peace and bliss. In Ravana, the tragic fault is his lust. His lust brings about his downfall. He commits the dreadful sin of imprisoning Sita in Ashoka garden. Before abducting her, he approaches Maricha with a request to assume the appearance of a golden deer and tempt Sita. The plan is that, attracted by the shining appearance of the deer, Sita should ask Rama to capture it and bring it to her. The false deer, Maricha, should lead the prince astray as he pursues it, sometimes by being temptingly within reach and sometimes tantalizingly standing tired, and all the while covering a long distance. In case the prince should shoot at it, it should cry aloud, "Ah, Lakshmana! Ah, Sita!" with his dying breath in the tone of Sri Rama. The expectation is that Sita, on hearing the cry, would think that Rama is in danger and hence urge Lakshmana to go to the rescue of Rama. Ravana hopes to avail himself of that opportunity when Sita happens to be alone in the ashrama without the protection of the 2 princes and take her away by force. Maricha hears the words of Ravana and understands his evil design. He then teaches to the Rakshasa king the wonderful lesson to avoid evil in order to escape the consequences of evil. He formally greets Ravana and says thus: "Evidently, somebody who wishes for your downfall has put in your mind the idea of abducting Sita. He is an enemy in the garb of a friend, a mentor, or well-wisher. One of the traits of a good king is to know who is a real well-wisher and who outwardly pretends to be a well-wisher in order to dig his grave. Those who speak palatable words, flatter you, and hide the truth for selfish gain are not your well-wishers. My words may be bitter to you, yet I now tell you the truth. Rama spared my life twice. While still a boy of 16, he hit me with an arrow and threw me away from Vishwamitra's ashram into the southern sea, many thousands of miles away. The second time was in the forest, when I assumed the appearance of a deer to deceive the sages and eat them. He hit me with an arrow and threw me away. He did not kill me. Since then I have been so afraid of him that day and night I see his figure before me, the figure radiating valor, beauty, and terror. I renounced all the Rakshasa activities. I have been living the life of an ascetic. In short, Rama terrified me, a Rakshasa, into an ascetic. If I appear as a deer now urged by you, he will certainly kill me. I am interested in your welfare and long prosperous life. Abstain from thoughts of evil. Having done evil, you cannot escape consequences. Rama is sure to kill you if you attempt to abduct his wife." Ravana first sees reason in the words of Maricha. He returns home giving up the evil thought. Such is the force of good words even on a cruel Rakshasa. But the company of evil friends and the persuasion of Surpanaka brings his mind back to the evil. So he again approaches Maricha and renews his appeal to help him in the abduction of Sita. This time he gives no scope for Maricha to preach wisdom. He exercises his Rakshasa power. He says, "Maricha, I have not come to hear your preachings. I order you to assume the appearance of a deer and tempt Sita, paving the way for her being alone in the cottage. If you disobey me, I shall sever your head from your body with my sharp-edged sword." Maricha has no alternative except to obey the tyrant. He feels that death at the hands of Rama entitles him to liberation. Preparing himself for death and mentally dwelling on the beauty, valor, grace, and radiance of Rama, he sets out on the errand set by Ravana. Ravana then succeeds and succumbs. He succeeds in making Maricha do his errand. He succumbs to evil. First, Maricha's good advice makes a dent in his evil nature. An opening is made for good feelings to enter his heart. But soon the company he keeps and the value he gives to urges of internal enemies close up the opening. Fate does not strike with a rod on the head of a man whom it wants to ruin. It simply robs him of his reason and closes all openings to good influence. Ravana's doom is thus sealed. Just when he was on the point of perpetrating the act of moral turpitude, he was warned of the dire consequences of his evil act. But he spurned the warning and bore his hopes above wisdom, grace, or fear. He indulged his vice. He refused to be saved from his vice. So vice let loose its mischiefs. The mischiefs let loose by the vice engulfed him in a whirlpool of defeats, discomfitures, and bereavements. Then he held a council. He invited well-wishers, commanders of army and ministers and requested them to suggest measures to tide over the situation. The courtiers indulged in sycophancy. They praised Ravana's might and glory. They were for intensifying war. In the midst of that flattery and sycophancy, there was a lone, sane voice. It was that of Vibhishana. Vibhishana made the position clear. He spoke thus: "My dear brother and lord of Rakshasas, I wish you should live long and prosper. I also wish that all your kith and kin feel happy and secure. We have been suffering unprecedented hardships as a result of war with Rama and his brother Lakshmana, accompanied by a strong army of monkeys. I need not put you in mind of the defeats, discomfitures, and bereavement we are made to suffer as a result of lone monkey Hanuman's indulgence in arson. There is no way out of this predicament unless we go to the root cause of this trouble and remove it. You committed a grave mistake in bringing to Lanka a hero's wife who is chaste and pure. Rama is large-hearted and noble. If you have good sense enough to restore his wife to him, he will cease fighting with you. Thus the evil from which all this misery arises has got to be removed." Ravana considers Vibhishana a coward. It is natural for the wicked to brand the good as cowards. In his extreme anger, he even threatens to kill his brother Vibhishana. Disgusted with his brother, Vibhishana leaves him and joins Rama. This shows his devotion to Rama, whom he knows to be an incarnation of God. Vibhishana's episode teaches us the lesson that we should nip the evil of vice in the bud, and thus escape the mischiefs that ensue from indulging it. Mandodari, Ravana's wife, tries in her own characteristic way to wean Ravana from the evil so that he may be secure against danger. She tries every fond endearment, reproves his moral lapse, and allures to the brighter worlds that would be his if he repairs the lapse. The fault she points out in him is his unholy desire for another's wife whose power of character is comparable to the power of fire of the goddess of fire. She speaks thus: "My lord, you are so powerful, so handsome, and so magnanimous that your wives are fond of you. We are all devoted to you, and we are ever at your beck and call. It may not be boasting if I say that I am reputed for my beauty and charms. So are the other women you have in your harem. Even Indra envies the pleasures you enjoy on this earth. What charms does that aesthetic lady, Sita, have to tempt you? She is highly devoted to her husband, and she cannot be wrenched from the bonds of love for Rama. You get more pleasure and more thrill from your own women who are enamored of you. It does not become you a monarch to covet another man's wife. You set store by your strength, power and pelf, and get into hostilities with a divine personality whom the whole world adores and admires. In your pride, you do not see divinity in Rama, and you think of him as a mere human being. Pride clouds your vision. I do not belittle your powers. I only wish that your power be seasoned with morality or dharma, lest divine wrath should descend on you." Ravana is naturally angry on hearing these unpalatable words. He says, "My dear, do not prate any more and rouse my anger. Woman is foremost in you. You are jealous of the charms in Sita. No harm comes to me. You need not feel any concern for me." With these words, he laughs a boisterous laugh and leaves the place. Before launching an attack on Lanka with his huge and powerful army of monkeys, Rama sends Angada to Ravana as an ambassador of peace. Angada's mission is to drive some sense into the mind of Ravana and make him surrender Sita to Rama. It is with great ardour that Angada takes up the arduous task of deflecting Ravana, who is hell-bent on evil, from his fell purpose. He knows for certain that Ravana would not see reason, yet he wishes to extol Sri Rama's might, power, magnanimity and bias for dharma to his heart's content and terrorize the Rakshasa monarch. He says thus, O Lord of Rakshasas, I hope you remember Vali, who has captured you and kept you breathless under his arm. Such powerful Vali was slain by my Lord Rama. You are aware that one of our petty runners, whom Sugriva sends on errands, has set your city ablaze. Single-handed he has wreaked havoc and killed your son. There are innumerable monkeys of that type in our army. Take good care of you, lest you should bite the dust. Our Lord in his magnanimity has sent me to warn you betimes. If you surrender Sita to Rama, he will not harm you. You can live happily and enjoy your kingdom. Angada's words no doubt shook Ravana of his complacency, yet he was too proud to express his fear. He dismissed Angada with hurrah words. Ravana persists in his wickedness in spite of timely advice of his well-wishers, the chief among them being his own brother Vibhishana. As wickedness proceeds, the dreaded consequences set in. Jove strikes the Titans down, not when they set about mountain piling, but when another rock would crown the work. Ravana's mountain piling of sin reaches climax with the abduction. It is the last rock that is a crown of his heap of sins. Before that crown adorns his sins, his heads are lopped off. During the terrible war, Ravana suffers many a reverse. His son Indrajit is killed. He feels great pain. Even then, he does not think of restoring Sita to Rama. He does not want to be saved from evil. He wants to be saved from the consequences of evil. So he orders his brother Kumbhakarna to be roused from sleep. Kumbhakarna, known for his enormous strength, meets his brother Ravana, learns from him the cause which has prompted him to wake up that giant. Ravana seeks the advice of Kumbhakarna to be saved from danger that stares in his face. Kumbhakarna speaks thus, My dear brother, you now wake me up from deep sleep and inform me of the predicament you are in. You did not inform me of your design before abducting. Had you informed me of that, I would have advised you not to do it. You perpetrated a great evil. Now you want me to save you from the consequences of your wickedness. I know your feelings. You never relished good and sweet words of Vibhishana. You spurned fate and scorned death, being secure under the boons Brahma granted you. Your security against death has been your undoing. Even if one were granted immortality, he dies if he does not save himself from evil. The only help I do now is to fight with Rama just to please you. I will use all my might in the fight. I can have the satisfaction of serving you when you say after my death weeping, My brother Kumbhakarna fought valiantly and fell nobly. I cannot see you dead. So before you die, I rush to fight your enemy and die a heroic death. With these words, the giant runs to the battlefield and dies at the hands of Rama. If lust has taken the form of evil in Ravana and brought about his downfall, unrelenting anger has taken the form of evil in Vali and brought about his downfall. Out of the 6 arch internal enemies, lust, anger, greed, infatuation, pride and envy, one is enough to ruin a man. When one of them causes havoc and mars a man, it does not mean that the other 5 traits are absent in him. In fact, all 6 internal enemies work as a team. Sometimes one of them appears to be predominating and outstanding, throwing the rest into the shade. On that account, we cannot say that others are inoperative and negligible. For example, along with lust, we also see anger and pride in abundance in Ravana. Vali is very angry with his brother. The explanation Sugriva gives does not appeal to him. When anger is up, reason slumbers. An angry man opens his mouth and closes his eyes. He is blind to the reason in the other man's point. He simply blusters and storms, imagining that he can do everything he wishes. An angry man finds his image in the mirror of his pride or magnifying glass and imagines that he is many times bigger than he actually is. A powerful demon, Mayavi by name, challenges Vali to a duel. Vali in his pride does not brook the challenge. He pursues the demon as he flees. The demon disappeared into a cave. Vali says to his brother Sugriva thus, "My dear Sugriva, the demon hides himself in the cave. So I enter the cave and kill him. You please wait for me at this entrance of the cave." Sugriva says that he would wait there. Vali enters the cave. He begins to fight the demon. The fight continues for a year. Blood is flowing out of the cave as they inflict injuries on each other. Sugriva waits too long. 6 months pass. Vali does not return. Sugriva sees blood coming out from the cave. He imagines that is the blood of his brother Vali. He thinks that the demon has killed Vali. He is afraid lest the demon should emerge from the cave and kill him. So, in mortal fear, he blocks the entrance of the cave with a big boulder so as to preclude the possibility of the demons coming out, and rushes to his city. Kishkinda, the kingdom of monkeys, is without a king, as Vali is supposed to be dead. So the citizens and elders prevail upon Sugriva to sit on the throne and rule the kingdom. Sugriva accepts the honour in all humbleness and grace. After killing the demon, Vali finds the entrance barred. He breaks the boulder and comes out. Naturally, he misunderstands Sugriva. He comes to the conclusion that Sugriva is a traitor as he sees him on the throne on his return home. He is firm in his opinion that Sugriva has blocked the entrance not to prevent the demon from coming, as Sugriva explains, but to prevent him, Vali, from returning home alive. He believes that Sugriva has planned all this only to rob him of his kingdom. He feels that Sugriva deserves death. Unable to bear killings at the hands of his brother, Sugriva takes refuge in the cave of Rishyamukha hill, a forbidden place of Vali. Emboldened by Rama's promise to kill Vali, Sugriva challenges Vali to a duel while going to the battlefield to fight with Sugriva. Vali is stopped by his wife Tara. Tara advises Vali not to rush out to fight a duel with Sugriva. She tries to save Vali from the evil in the form of uncontrollable anger. If he is not saved from the evil, there is no question of his escaping the consequence of that evil. She speaks thus, "My lord, you have been hostile to your brother beyond all reason and decency. He apologized to you in all humbleness, but you are in no mood to forgive him. Banished from the land of his birth, and more than that, torn off from your affection, he has been dragging on a miserable existence. Now I think he has some support and help from one who can punish you. Let not your anger and pride make you blind to the realities. I am afraid lest you should be punished for the injustice you have done to your brother in your anger and pride. Evil cannot be without its dire consequences. I wish you should be safe. I appeal to you to desist from this mad fury." Vali, like any other tragic hero, pays no heed to the wholesome advice and becomes a victim to his internal enemies, anger and pride being the foremost in his case. Indrajit is the most powerful of Ravana's sons, and he is heir to his throne. He embodies all faculties, talents, skills, and strength of a notorious Rakshasa king. Pride is a dominant internal enemy in him, and it runs riot in him conjointly with other traits like anger, envy, and infatuation. He knows that his father is wrong in abducting Sita, yet he feels sure that his father can afford that crime. He believes that his father and he are invincible, so whatever atrocities they commit, they are sure they can hold their heads high and trample on the heads of the rulers of the world. In short, his pride tells him that they can do evil and escape the consequences that follow in its wake. He calls Vibhishana a coward for pointing out the superior might of Rama. He pooh-poohs the wisdom of Vibhishana and encourages his father to go ahead with his outrages. Ravana, too, relying on the strength of his beloved son, becomes more and more war-minded, regardless of consequences. Indrajit has obtained a boon from Brahma that only a person who has been without food, without sleep, and without the touch of a woman for 14 years can subdue him. Instead of saying directly, "You are immortal," Brahma has ordained death to him only at the hands of a seemingly non-existent person. The foolish Rakshasas pride themselves on their security and continue to torment the pious with impunity till God intervenes. Indrajit does not know that Lakshmana is the person eligible to kill him. He is blind to the reality that Lakshmana fulfills the stipulation of the boon granted to him. Security is mortal's chiefest enemy. Even in this present-day world, a weakling who has amassed a few millions by means fair or foul purchases political power and tries to keep it up by the exercise of muscle and money. In his security of wealth and power, which he hopes would ward off the consequent dangers, he commits a number of heinous crimes. To such, the examples of Ravana, Indrajit, Vali, and so on must be eye-openers. Infatuation is a dominant trait in Surpanaka. Rama's handsomeness, valor, magnanimity, dynamism, and magnetism cast a spell on her and kindle her infatuation. She longs to have Rama for her husband. The Rakshasi Surpanaka can assume any comely form she likes. Appearing like a damsel, she approaches Rama. Rama and Lakshmana make a sport of the Rakshasi. She, thinking Sita to be the cause for Rama's repulsing her advances, goes near Sita menacingly with the intention of harming her. Lakshmana, ever on guard, quickly springs to action and cuts off the nose and ears of Surpanaka. He thus mutilates her as if to provide the Rakshasas, led by Ravana, an excuse to wage war on them. Surpanaka goes to Ravana and instigates him to abduct Sita. Surpanaka knows full well the weakness of Ravana and she exploits it well. She describes the beauty of Sita in such glowing terms that Ravana feels impelled to leap into action. Had she curbed her infatuation or unholy desire, she should have been spared the punishment in the form of mutilation and humiliation. Far from regretting her transgression and misdemeanor, she lets her infatuation turn ablaze. Her infatuation gives rise to fire of revenge which smoulders in her breast. Her eloquence catches flames from the fire of her revenge. That fiery eloquence fires Ravana's ambition and inflames his passions. Hence he rushes to commit a heinous crime. Thus the rise of evil in a person is followed by dire consequences. But the evildoer does not learn a lesson from the consequences and give up evil. He does further evil to tide over dangerous consequences. This process of intensifying evil actions continues to counteract consequences till the tragic end. That is the story of every tragic hero. Ordinary mortals have to learn a lesson from them and bury the evil as soon as it is born in the mind. The dominant evil in Mandara is her greed. She is a servant maid of Kaikeyi. She hears the news of Rama's intended coronation. She feels that Kausalya becomes queen mother with the coronation of Rama. Now the power and prestige that Kaikeyi enjoys as the favorite queen of Dasaratha may shift to Kausalya. Then Mandara's position also becomes less lucrative than that of Kausalya's servants. Her greed tells her that her mistress Kaikeyi should enjoy first rank in power, prestige and wealth, and then she'll be the richest servant maid. So she poisons the mind of the noble lady Kaikeyi. Kaikeyi is a gently nurtured, cultured lady. She is not petty-minded or selfish. She feels that Rama is a paragon of goodness and nobility. She lavishes her affection on Rama, and Rama is dearer to her than her own son Bharata. She knows that Rama deserves to become king. She feels glad on hearing the news of Rama's coronation. She even presents a costly jewel for Mandara as she informs her of it for the first time. How is it possible for Mandara to exert her evil influence on such a sensible lady of polish and finesse? Kaikeyi is susceptible to the tales of injury on an innocent woman by her co-wives. Mandara works upon this susceptibility just as disease germs enter the body which is vulnerable to it. She says that Kausalya looks for an opportunity to humiliate Kaikeyi, and as soon as Rama becomes king, she should slight Kaikeyi. This poison gradually works, and finally Kaikeyi yields to the wicked plan suggested by Mandara. Honest men are soft cushions on which knaves repose and fatten, says Shakespeare. Thus the good lady Kaikeyi becomes a victim to the machinations of Mandara. The dormant envy in Kaikeyi is made a dominant trait by the influence of Mandara. At the influence of Mandara, Kaikeyi extorts from Dasaratha 2 boons on the eve of Rama's proposed coronation ceremony. One is that Bharata, her son, should be crowned king, and the other is that Rama should dwell in the forest as an ascetic for 14 years. When Bharata refuses to accept the kingdom, and when he expresses his resolve to bring back Rama to Ayodhya as king, she understands her error and bitterly repents. For her error, she suffers the alienation of her son's affection, takes upon herself widowhood, and becomes a target for public criticism. But repentance comes late. By the time she realizes the enormity of her action, the damage is already done, and it has become irreparable too. She is not able to undo the harm she has done. That itself is a punishment for her proneness to envy. Now, the problem is how to keep at bay the 6 deadly enemies. There are 3 ways. One is to do Namajapa. It means to chant the holy name of God with the lips and cherish the image of God enshrined in the heart. The second is to keep company with great sadhus, high-souled persons who enjoy the bliss of self-conquest, radiating wisdom and diffusing joy and peace. The third is to engage oneself in the service of the poor and the sick, the suffering humanity, realizing that service to humanity is service to God. A feeling of compassion for the poor elevates a man into divine level. A man in the divine level is a striking contrast to the demonic. One wishes to be moral to enjoy immortal bliss. The other wishes to be immortal to enjoy forever immoral pleasures. We can round off this lesson with an oft-repeated poem. If wrong you do, if false you play, in summer among flowers, you have to atone and repay in winter among showers. The end. that was the end of lesson 2. Hope you liked it. And again, please click like, share and subscribe. And thank you for watching. And I hope to see you in my next video where I'll be reading lesson 3. And thank you and bye.